I had a childhood betrothal with Willow Liu, but she despised me, saying I was just a nouveau riche bumpkin from the countryside. So, in order to make me give up and retreat from the engagement on my own, when I came to her house with lavish gifts, she actually found a poor student from school to impersonate her. She said, "A rich second generation and a poor second generation, a perfect match. I bet that nouveau riche won't last 3 days before he cancels this engagement." The impoverished student, helpless and fragile, remained gloomy and joyless all day long. I believed it. I really thought the Liu family had fallen into ruin, that she couldn't even afford to eat. My father's words echoed in my ears. "Son, even if they've gone bankrupt, so what? We're not shallow people. We have plenty of money to support her." So, when she was hungry, I gave her food. When she worked part-time, I became her bodyguard. When her mother was hospitalized, I paid the bills with my card. I took good care of my little fiancée. Who would have thought? One day, a beautiful girl snatched away the gift I had carefully prepared. I was just about to get angry, when she looked at me with unwillingness in her eyes and said, "George, look carefully. I am your real fiancé." Chapter 1. My dad told me that I had a fiancée in the city, to let me decide whether I wanted her or not, and also to motivate me to get into a good university. In my second year of high school, he arranged for me to transfer directly into Willow's class. I heard the Liu family had deep roots in City C, with a long history. So my dad specially asked me to bring many gifts, but when I got off the train, not a single member of the Liu family came to pick me up. At first, I was a little displeased. But when I arrived at school, and saw the thin figure of Willow, wearing a dress so washed it had turned pale, all my anger vanished without a trace. It was a classmate I met on the way, who looked at the photo in my hand, and kindly led me. She raised her hand and said, "Class 2, senior year, looking for Willow. I know her. I'll take you." She also raised her hand again and pointed. Following the direction of her finger, I saw a girl sitting by the window, her figure delicate and frail, neat and tidy. The afternoon sunlight poured in as though sifted through a screen, slanting across her profile. A stray breeze lifted strands of hair at her temples, revealing her refined brows and straight nose. I lowered my head to look at the photo, then looked at her again. In my ears still echoed the sigh of the classmate just now. She had said, "You don't know, the Liu family went bankrupt 2 years ago. Now Willow Liu even needs financial aid at school. After classes she has to work part-time. Sometimes she's so poor she can't even afford meals." The Wang family and the Liu family actually had little contact, and something like bankruptcy, the Liu family certainly wouldn't spread that news all the way to our countryside. I let out a quiet sigh, nodded faintly, and promised her that I would never spread it around. "This is a new transfer student, George. Everyone, welcome him." The teacher pointed to an empty seat in the back row and said, "You can sit there for now." I looked up. It was right beside Willow. From the moment I entered the classroom until the teacher arranged my seat, Willow never once lifted her head. She was seriously bent over, writing something on her paper. To reach my seat, I had to pass behind Willow. As I walked by, my school bag accidentally snagged on something. Instinctively, I tugged, and a chipped enamel mug fell out from beneath Willow's desk. The mug rolled halfway across the floor with a crisp clang. Inside, the only half a piece of dry, hardened steamed bun fell out, gathering a layer of dust. I clearly saw Willow's shoulders tremble ever so slightly. Her fingers tightened around the pen, but she never turned her head. A few muffled chuckles echoed around me. I caught sight of several girls whispering about her back, their eyes filled with disdain. So this was how miserable Willow's life had become. The radiant, spirited girl in the photo. Now she truly couldn't even afford a proper meal. Clenching my teeth, I picked up my bag, sat down, and whispered, "Sorry, I didn't mean to." She still didn't look at me. Head lowered, she simply shoved the mug I had picked up back into her desk. I said, "I'm George. Do you remember me?" Leaning sideways, I tilted closer to catch her gaze. In fact, when she was 6, we had met once. It's human nature to love beauty. Back then, little Willow was delicate and pretty, and I adored her. But I had taken her to play with chickens, and she got her backside pecked. After that, she ignored me completely. Though her looks had changed over the years, she was still just as beautiful as before. My sudden words startled her. She turned slightly, glancing back at me. Her eyes were beautiful, like shining black gems. Her lashes were long and dark, veiling those cool, distant eyes when they lowered, softening her aloofness. But after the initial shock, she still didn't speak. I scratched my head and said, "I'm your fiancé, do you remember?" She happened to be drinking water. At those words, she choked and coughed hoarsely. I quickly patted her back. When she recovered, her expression was unreadable as she looked at me, her fair face tinged with red. Maybe she really didn't remember, or maybe, after her family's downfall, her heart had changed. Either way, I understood. We could just treat each other like strangers and make friends again from the start. So I smiled, stretched out my hand, and said, "From now on, we're desk mates. I'm George. Nice to meet you. Oh, by the way, could I ask you for a favor?" I thought Willow would ignore me again, but this time, she actually spoke, though her voice was still cold. She said, "I don't have time." Chapter 2. And the kind girl who had led me here, after seeing me walk into the classroom, she immediately turned toward the stairwell, where several girls were gathered, laughing together. Maria cheerfully called out to the beautiful girl at the center, "Willow, it's done. That guy is so gullible. He believed everything I said." I pointed to Anna and told him that the Liu family went bankrupt, and that you, Willow, couldn't even afford meals. He was totally shocked. He even saw Anna's dirty steamed bun now that she looked so pitiful. "Do you really think he'll still want to play the savior? I bet within 3 days, he'll back out of the engagement on his own." A flicker of hesitation crossed Willow's eyes, but she still asked for confirmation. 3 days, really? He actually believed it? Maria nodded. "Of course." I looked at the photo he had. It was just a side profile of you. From that angle, Anna doesn't look much different. She added, "I even told him that after the Liu family went bankrupt, you all changed your names to dodge debt collectors. A clueless bumpkin like him would definitely fall for it. And if he really happens to run into you, just say it's someone with the same name. That way he won't stick to you." Willow brushed back the hair by her ear, her refined brows relaxing slightly. She gave a soft, disdainful hum and said, "A nouveau riche bumpkin from the countryside. What era are we even in? And he still clings to this whole childhood betrothal nonsense." Maria chimed in. "Exactly, Willow. You're the daughter of the Liu family's distinguished line. Even if it's about marriage alliances, you should be marrying into a powerful family. Look at Sophia, she married the heir of JC Group. So why should you be tied down to some rustic hayseed from the countryside?" Willow nodded in agreement. "Exactly. My mom has been fighting with my dad about this for days. She even went on a hunger strike to force him to break off the engagement. But my dad listens to my grandfather in everything. And grandfather, being loyal and bound by old bonds, insists on honoring the promise he made to his comrade in arms in his youth," Maria said. "By the way, honestly I think you're fiancé." But Willow shot her a cold glance, and she quickly corrected herself. "I mean, that country bumpkin, he's actually pretty handsome. I even secretly took a picture just now. Want to see it? Who knows, maybe you'll end up liking him." Willow let out a mocking laugh. "Are you out of your mind? How could I possibly fall for some peasant from the sticks?" Maria pouted and muttered under her breath, "I'm serious. He's actually better looking than your childhood sweetheart." Chapter 3. I knew none of this. At that moment, in my eyes, there was only Anna. Yes, she said her name was Anna, and the classmates all called her Anna. I thought the Liu family had even changed her name to avoid debt collectors. All day long, I kept trying to find ways to talk to Anna. She replied very little, sometimes even pretending she hadn't heard me, but I was naturally talkative. Inherited my father's love of chatter. My dad could talk to cows for an entire day, and with my easygoing, outgoing nature, I could practically chat with anyone without barriers. I said, "Hey, do you know any good food in City C? It's my first day here. I don't know anything." I asked, "By the way, do you commute or stay in the dorms?" I asked again, why does this topic look different from what I learned back in town school? And again, "Where's the water station? I'm so thirsty." Sometimes Anna really couldn't stand it, and she'd whisper, "Can you please just focus in class?" Then after a pause, she'd add, "The water station is at the door of class 4. You can only go after class." But when class ended, I had already forgotten about the water. Instead, I hurried to call my dad and told him about the Liu family's bankruptcy. He was shocked on the other end of the line, puzzled. What's going on?" Doesn't matter if they really went broke. So what? We can't be shallow people. It's at times like these you see true character. As long as you like her, just marry her and support her." I nodded. Not that I particularly liked her, but Anna really was pitiful. I didn't have much of anything else, but I had plenty of money, and that was exactly what she lacked most right now. Our family had only become rich the year I was born. Back in 1998, when the policy of commercial housing reform was just mentioned in the corner of a newspaper, my dad had already set his eyes on the abandoned old grain depot in the county. By 2005, when I entered middle school, the city started developing a new district, and he invested heavily. Later, when the internet boom arrived, he didn't understand much of it, but he knew how to put in money. Our rise was short but fast. Compared with the Liu family's wealth built over generations, I really was what people now called online, a nouveau riche upstart. But even nouveau riche had its perks. At the very least, when my dad handed me bank cards, it was one after another, without blinking an eye. I could even buy out the KTV where Anna was now working part-time, but I didn't do that. I pestered Anna for days before I finally found out about her part-time job at the KTV. At night, Anna was a little different from the daytime. She dressed more casually, her long hair tied up loosely. I had followed her secretly, so when Anna saw me, her brows furrowed tightly. In the stairwell, Anna asked me, "Why are you here?" Now it was her turn to say more. I pulled out a sandwich from my bag and shoved it into her hands. Anna froze for a moment, her hand stopping midair. I said, "Quick, try it." I pushed it toward her. "Oh, I just bought too many. The shopkeeper said they'd expire if not eaten tonight. I can't finish them all. Wasting food isn't good, so please help me eat it." I had already found out that Anna worked at least 3 part-time jobs after school. First handing out flyers on the street, then running a fried noodle stall. And after packing it up, she'd come to this KTV to continue working. A plate of fried noodles sold for 7 yuan. She never let herself eat it. Either she made do with the leftover steamed bun she'd brought from the morning, or she waited for whatever snacks were left over by KTV customers. Over these past few days, I'd already become familiar with the classmates in my class. Quite a few even reminded me not to get too close to Anna. They said she had a strange temper, always gloomy, that she never interacted with anyone except keeping her head down to do homework. They also said her family not only had a mother with a serious illness, but also a disabled younger brother. Strange, Mrs. Liu really has such a serious illness. But I didn't want to press Anna on it. I was afraid of hurting her feelings again. She asked, "Why?" Anna held the sandwich and looked up at me. I shrugged and, in a serious tone, said, "There aren't that many whys. You're my desk mate, and you even helped me with a problem today." I nodded firmly and said, "I told my dad if I don't get into a good university he'll break my legs." "Anna, this is me bribing you. You know, this sandwich isn't free. You have to keep tutoring me tomorrow." By chance I'd glanced at her test once. Wow, she scored 149 in Chinese. She pressed her lips together and asked, "Aren't you disgusted that I'm dirty?" I waved my hand. "What kind of question is that?" I bent over and exaggeratedly sniffed around her. "Dirty? How can that be? Look how clean your clothes are. They even smell nice. Like soap." "Hey, look at me." I rolled up my grimy sleeve and showed it to her. "I'm way dirtier than you. Would you be bothered by me?" In the dim stairwell, Anna suddenly looked up at me. Her eyes shone like stars. She clutched the sandwich and shook her head. I nodded. "That's more like it. You're my fiancée." I snapped my mouth shut and stopped myself just in time. Chapter 4. After work, Anna stuffed another set of her notes into my hands, and we walked home together along the way. Ever since my mother passed away, my father had always been worried about me, so even before I came here, he had already bought me a house in the Qingye Villa district. But as we got close to the villa area, I walked straight past, continuing on with her for a while longer. Her family had gone bankrupt. If she saw rows of villas, it would inevitably stir up painful memories. When we were near her place, I said, "Here's my stop." I casually pointed at a random house, then urged her, "You should hurry home too." Anna lifted her head, tilted it slightly at me, and said, "See you tomorrow, deskmate." If a familiar classmate had been watching, they would have noticed that Anna seemed like a paper doll suddenly breathed into life. She no longer looked lifeless and drained, almost as if she had found a bit of hope in the tomorrows that were never kind to her. After making sure Anna had gone, I quickly returned to the villa district, but just as I was about to turn into my building, I bumped head-on into a girl running my way. She staggered, nearly falling. Luckily, I reacted fast and reached out, barely managing to catch her. When I looked down, I was met with a delicate, beautiful face. I frowned in puzzlement. Why did she feel so familiar? Ah, yes, she looked somewhat like Anna, but why was she staring blankly at me like that? I released her, waved a hand in front of her eyes, and asked, "Are you okay?" That snapped her back to herself. She immediately lowered her head and said, "Sorry." I didn't think much of it, just waved it off and kept walking. Behind me, she suddenly called out, "You're from first high school too, aren't you?" But before she could finish, my cat darted out to greet me. Overjoyed, I ran over to scoop up its head and rub it like crazy, forgetting the girl in an instant. And so Willow stood frozen where she was, watching me vanish around the corner. By the time she came to her senses and tried to follow, I was already gone. She opened the group chat and sighed, "So tired. Sisters, I just want to fall asleep in the arms of a tall, 185 guy with 8-pack abs, long legs, warm heart, sweet words, deep love, and absolute loyalty." Someone replied, "What's wrong, Willow? What happened to you?" She said, "Isn't there some tall, strong, really handsome sports guy in our school? Has anyone seen him?" Another person replied, "Wow, Willow, who did you meet? Love at first sight?" Someone else chimed in, "Nonsense. Willow's standards are way too high. She doesn't even look twice at the top student. How could she possibly fall in love at first sight?" Willow propped her chin with one hand, staring at the words love at first sight for a long time. Finally, she slowly typed back, "Don't talk nonsense. Just tell me if you've seen him or not." The reply came, "Well, there are plenty of tall guys, plenty of sporty ones, and some really handsome too, but all those in one package. Haven't seen that before. How about this? I'll ask around tomorrow. If he's from first high, he can't escape." Willow teased, "If you succeed, there'll be a hefty reward." With her wealthy family and beautiful looks, Willow always assumed that anyone she liked would never refuse her. Chapter 5. After school that day, Anna took the broom from a classmate and did the cleaning duty in her place. The sunset dyed the classroom windows the color of honey. She gripped the broom handle, worn smooth with use, and swept with practiced ease, leaning against the doorway. I asked in puzzlement, "Do you often do other people's chores?" She gave a soft and explained, "They pay 10 yuan each time." After saying that, she glanced up at me nervously and added, "It's not that I asked for it." I walked over, picked up the mop nearby, and frowned. So stingy, cleaning such a big classroom for just 10 yuan. Even stingier than my dad. The cicadas outside suddenly grew louder, and Anna, staring down at the floor, suddenly felt the boring task of cleaning wasn't so hard to endure. When she finished, Anna started toward the Liangqiao underpass. She turned back to say, "I wrote down today's problem-solving methods on the back. You can review them tonight. If there's anything you don't understand, I'll explain it tomorrow." I didn't pay attention to her words, I just looked at her intently and said, "Can I help you at your stall?" Anna hesitated, then said tactfully, "Everyone else uses the evenings to study. Otherwise, it's easy to fall behind." In the end, she still didn't agree to let me join her. She seemed really afraid my dad might break my legs if I didn't study well. When I found her stall on my own, I saw Anna, apron tied around her waist, busy stir-frying noodles for customers. Anna noticed me. Her movements paused for half a second. She asked, "Why are you here?" "A classmate." A gentle voice came from the side. "Are you Anna's classmate?" I followed the voice and saw Anna's mother. Perhaps illness had worn her down. Her cheeks were thin and sunken, but her fine brows still showed her beauty. I smiled and greeted her. "Hello, Auntie. I'm Anna's deskmate." She looked pleased. Her slightly graying hair shone under the warm yellow light. She said, "Young man, would you like some noodles? Our Anna doesn't often have classmates come over. Auntie will make you one. Try it." Anna frowned, quickly reaching out to stop her. "Mom, sit down. I'll do it." I smiled at Anna, my eyes urging her, "Come on, I'm hungry." Anna didn't speak, just turned to dig into the foam box. First, she cracked 2 fresh eggs into hot oil. The fragrance burst forth with a sizzle. Then she added a big spoonful of shredded meat, slices of sausage, shrimp, and a ladle of secret meat sauce. Stir-fried over high heat, the aroma spread far and wide. Only after tossing in greens and bean sprouts did she add the noodles, flipping them quickly in the wok. The noodles turned glossy brown with soy sauce, tumbling in the iron wok. She scattered scallions over them. The bowl that came out, dotted with red and green, looked mouth-watering. I glanced at the menu and noticed Anna had cooked me the deluxe version, priced at 21 yuan. Sitting at the table, I rubbed a pair of disposable chopsticks together. Anna crouched down to watch me, a little nervous. "Try it." I had to admit, her cooking was impressive. The smell alone made me drool. I took a big bite, then gave her a thumbs up. After a while, my expression darkened, my eyes moist. My voice came out hoarse. "Anna, why does your fried noodle taste like my mom's?" "I miss my mom." Seeing my eyes, Anna panicked, flustered. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." I stared at her for a long while. She was so good. How could anyone be this good? Her bangs lay neatly over her pretty brows, her gaze pitiful as she looked at me. I remembered, when we were young, Willow had been like a swan, beautiful, but proud. It seemed these years of life must have been unbearably hard for her. I looked at her, my tone firm. "You'll succeed." "Definitely." Anna blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" I didn't answer. I had never met someone like Anna, clearly stuck knee-deep in the mud, yet still so pure and clean. And she was brilliant, too. Even with only class time to study each day, she had still kept herself ranked among the top 5 in her grade for years. So, losing her shine for now didn't mean anything at all. Chapter 6. That weekend, I didn't go looking for Anna. My hands itched for speed, so I climbed my way to a racing club. Ever since coming to City C, I hadn't touched the wheel. Who would have thought? Just as I arrived at the club's entrance, I was turned away. The staffer said, "Sorry, kid, we're closed today, not accepting guests." I pointed at the sign outside. "But it clearly says you're open today," he replied. That was our staff's oversight. I was speechless. Finally found a decent club, and now this. I'd loved riding bulls since I was young, later fell for motorcycles, and once I touched race cars. Old Wang sent me abroad for a few months of training. I couldn't stand staying there long, So he eventually brought me back. When I was 15, he slyly handed me a folder. Inside was a contract transferring dozens of acres of land rights, coordinates, the eastern hills of the city, open terrain with natural slopes. I'd been murmuring about racetrack terrain for half a year. Just as I was about to leave, a fragrant breeze swept past me. A familiar, beautiful face stopped in front of me, her tone full of surprise. "It's you." I stared at her for a while before remembering she was the girl from that night. Her peach blossom eyes curved as she smiled. "You like racing too?" I nodded openly. "Yeah, too bad I can't get on track today." She flashed me a bright smile, whispered a few words to the manager I'd argued with earlier, and he nodded before walking away. She looked back at me. "Lucky you. This club belongs to my brother. We usually race here. How about it? Want to have a match?" When I didn't answer right away, she teased. "What? Are you afraid of losing to me?" I shrugged. To such a provocative challenge, I responded with enthusiasm. The instant the green light blinked, 2 cars shot out of the starting line almost at once. From the corner of my eye, I saw the girl take the first curve with astonishing precision. She didn't choose the conventional outside-inside-outside route. Instead, she cut tight at the apex, smoke from her rear tires bursting in front of me. Clearly, she'd been professionally trained for quite some time. I grinned, jerked the steering wheel sharply, but against me, she was still far behind. By the time the red flag dropped at the finish line, her car was nowhere in sight. Back in the lounge, my phone suddenly rang. "Boss, it's Anna. Her stall's been smashed. I'm watching right now. Are you coming?" Of course, I couldn't stay by Anna's side 24/7. That's why I'd hired someone. I hung up, changed clothes, and rushed out without a word. By the time Willow reached the lounge, I was already gone. "Where is he?" she demanded angrily, turning on the manager who followed behind. "He left. Said he had something urgent. Didn't even wait," the manager explained. Seeing her displeasure, he tried to comfort her by venting. "Miss Liu, I've never seen someone so rude. No gentlemanly manners at all. Couldn't even let a lady win." That only made Willow angrier. What did he mean? Was he implying that the only reason she'd ever won before was because men had let her? She rolled her eyes at the manager and left, too annoyed to bother with him. But she didn't mind losing to him. In fact, she realized she truly liked that boy. Willow opened the group chat, tossed in a photo, and typed quickly, "Look, tell me this isn't fate. I ran into him again today. Handsome, right? He's even more handsome when he's racing." The group blew up. Some praised him. Some teased her for being love-struck. Only Maria stayed silent for a while, before finally dropping a picture into the chat. She wrote, "It's over. Willow, isn't this the same country bumpkin fiancé you looked down on? That nouveau riche. Compare my photo with yours. It's the same guy, right? And I heard he's been treating Anna like she's you, spoiling her like crazy. Isn't that a mess? Oh my God." Willow sat upright, opened Maria's photo, and compared it over and over again. After a long time, she finally typed back, word by word, "What did you say?" Chapter 7. When I arrived at Anna's stall, I saw blood at the corner of her lips. She had been hit, though I couldn't tell where. I had already heard that before Anna's father died, he had left behind a mountain of gambling debt. Those debt collectors sometimes went straight to her house. If her family couldn't pay, they would eat and sleep there for days. Occasionally, they even showed up at Anna's school, demanding repayment in front of everyone. Since it was her father's debt, Anna herself wasn't legally obligated to repay it. That was why these people had to resort to threats, intimidation, and harassment to squeeze money from her. When the scar-faced collector saw me, he sneered. Well, got yourself a boyfriend. If you've got a man now, why can't you scrape together 5,000? Or is he just freeloading? You really are cheap if you're already doing it. Why not sell yourself for a better price?" He reached for Anna, but in the blink of an eye I kicked him square in the knee. I wasn't particularly talented, but old Juan had always been paranoid about kidnappings. Since I was little, he forced me to train in sanda and close combat. I clamped down on the man's wrist. He howled in pain, tried to pull away, but my grip didn't budge. Through gritted teeth, he spat. "You little shit. You looking to die, ah?" I tightened my hold, smiling as I said, "The cops are on their way. Scream louder if you want." I had already called the police on my way here. Sure enough, within moments the sound of sirens grew nearer. The group of collectors scattered like rats. Only the scar-faced one couldn't run. My grip held him fast. By the time we walked out of the police station, it was already deep into the night. Over the years, Anna had paid off plenty of her father's debts, but the numbers only grew larger. For the sake of lasting peace, I secretly had someone settle it for her. "Does it still hurt?" I asked, pointing to her cheek. On her fair skin remained the deep imprint of 5 fingers, swelling red and high. Anna shook her head, but halfway down the street, she stopped and looked up at the sky. I followed her gaze. Her voice drifted to my ear. "Tell me," she said, opening her palm toward the heavens. The moonlight is so bright, why does it fall on me? I tilted my head back, traced a circle with my fingers against the moon, and said excitedly, you know, I just realized something. They say the 15th moon is full, but tonight, the 16th, it's even bigger and rounder. Looks just like a pancake. Anna, do you want one? I'm starving. Anna had been watching me all along. At my words, she let out a soft laugh and nodded. That night, we didn't eat pancakes. In the end, we ate Anna's deluxe fried noodles instead. Chapter 8. The next day I still arrived at class earlier than usual. While no one was watching, I took the breakfast my aunt had made out of my bag. Just as I was about to slip it onto Anna's desk, a pair of pretty hands flashed by and took my breakfast away. I stared at my empty right hand, looked up ready to be angry, and saw a delicate, beautiful face. Is that you? I asked, puzzled. Why did you take my sandwich? Willow's smile froze midair. Then a look of hurt crossed her eyes and she pouted. George, have you forgotten me? I'm Willow. I stared at her in shock. What? You're also called Willow? She punched me lightly on the arm, fuming. When we were 6 you took me to play with chickens and got me pecked on the butt. Have you really forgotten? Only then did I realize something was wrong. You're Willow. I looked over at Anna's desk and asked. Then she, what is she? Willow looked at me as if it were obvious and, curious why I'd mistaken her, said, Anna, you didn't seriously confuse her with me, did you? I pulled out the address I'd been carrying and pointed at it. But I looked before, nobody was there. Back then I'd searched vaguely, and someone else pointed out Willow. I hadn't thought much of it. Besides, I hadn't come to force an engagement anyway. Getting into a good university was my priority. Thanks to Anna's help recently, getting into a top school wasn't out of reach. I figured if there really wasn't a fiancé to be found, so be it. And anyway, Anna's kind of beauty was different from the Willow in front of me. Willow's looks were richly glamorous, her brows and eyes proud and commanding. Anna's beauty carried a streak of resilience, delicate and seemingly fragile, yet always blooming against the wind. Willow pretended to be angry. Whoever gave you that address wrote it wrong. Then she pouted and said, George, look properly now. I'm your fiancé, the Willow with the childhood betrothal. I don't know who misled you into thinking Anna was me. I scratched my head. Sorry about that. More and more students were coming into the classroom. Many of them recognized Willow. Isn't that Willow? Didn't she transfer to another class? How come she's back? Someone said. Willow handed the sandwich back to me. It's okay. After school let's go see my grandfather. He's been saying he wants to meet you. I looked up and saw Anna, who had come into the classroom at some point, standing still. She had one hand on her backpack strap, her lips pressed together. She quietly stood there, her gaze fixed on my face. Tiny sparks of light in her dark eyes were scattered and faint. Anna had heard everything. Chapter 9. Throughout the whole class, Anna didn't say a single word. Her demeanor had slipped back to the way she was the very first time we met. In the end, I couldn't help myself. I reached out and patted her on the head. Almost instantly, Anna turned her head toward me, and I caught the flicker of light in her eyes. It reminded me so much of my big orange cat at home, how it would look up at me with bright eyes just from a single call. I said, so that's about it. Someone deliberately tricked me, told me you were Willow, made up a whole story, and that's how I mistook you. Then I shifted the subject. But even if I got the person wrong, the time we've spent together isn't fake, right? She pressed her lips together without speaking. I pressed on. Anna, you can't just abandon me. We agreed you'd help me get into a good university. You can't give up halfway. Suddenly Anna bent her head, rummaging through her desk for something. After a long pause, she pulled out a thick notebook. These are the classic math problems from the past few years' exams. I've written several solutions for each. The ones marked in red are the simpler methods, good for similar questions. The ones in blue and green are more complex, but they'll help you understand the logic. If you grasp them, you'll be able to handle any problem of this type. Her fingers clutched the notebook so tightly they turned pale. She'd spent the whole class thinking, scrutinizing herself, and finally had to admit that aside from this, she couldn't seem to match up to anyone else. After a pause, she added, it's okay if you don't understand. I'll help you. She looked at me, and when she smiled there were stars in her eyes. George, I'll help you. Whatever you want to do, I'll help you. I took the notebook. It was thick, filled cover to cover. Anna's handwriting was beautiful, clean, neat, and handwritten across every page. Thank you, Anna, I said. The fact that she was still willing to talk to me meant she was still willing to be my friend. With the utmost seriousness, I added, I'll study hard. I'll do my best. I won't let you down. Then we're still friends, I said, and we'll keep walking to and from school together. Anna hesitated, then finally gave a soft nod. During the break, I called my dad to tell him the Liu family hadn't gone bankrupt. It had all been a mistake. That's good news, my dad replied. Now you can relax without worrying yourself sick. At the end of the last class, I habitually patted Anna's shoulder. Let's go. Anna didn't move. I followed her gaze and saw Willow standing at the classroom door. Chapter 10. When she noticed me looking, Willow tilted her head with a smile and said naturally, "Come on. Grandpa's still waiting for us." That reminded me, old Master Liu had called me at noon, and I'd agreed to go see him with Willow. Anna lowered her head, fussed with her things, and said softly, "It's fine. I can go back by myself." Looking at her, I suddenly remembered when I first picked up my big orange cat. It had been pouring rain that day. The tiny kitten, only a few months old, had been left abandoned by the roadside, drenched to the bone. Suppressing the odd tug in my chest, I followed Willow away. The Liu family estate was grand. Its old house elegant and dignified, completely different from my own. Grandpa Liu was overjoyed to see me and asked many questions, but Willow's mother clearly disliked me. Her expression soured the moment she laid eyes on me. On the way back, Willow explained, "That's just how my mom is. She doesn't like anyone." I didn't take it to heart. Her personality was her business. I wasn't marrying her. Then Willow suddenly waved a hand in front of my eyes. "Oh, right, that Anna. Stay away from her." At Anna's name, I came back to my senses. "What?" I asked, but Willow suddenly fell silent, only muttering under her breath, "Nothing. Just remember what I said." I felt a little annoyed, but in the end, I said nothing, because I had brought all the gifts my dad prepared for the Liu family. Everyone started saying I was chasing Willow from that day on. Willow flaunted it so openly that everyone knew about our relationship. "Chasing your own fiancé, George, is kind of romantic," someone said. I thought Willow looked down on that country-born fiancé, but turns out she actually likes him, another remarked. I heard when George first came, he mistook Anna for Willow and treated her like royalty. Someone else added, "And why should Anna get him? That rich second generation acts like a simp chasing after her." Turns out she was an imposter all along. I didn't pay much attention to these remarks. They were meant for Anna to hear. After P.E., I couldn't find Anna anywhere. I searched every place, and finally, passing two girls, I overheard them. One said, "This is scary." Makoto and the others locked Anna in the equipment room to teach her a lesson. The other replied, "Should we tell the homeroom teacher?" The first said, "Forget it. If Makoto finds out, we're dead. We can't afford the trouble. Not worth it over Anna." I sprinted toward the equipment room, but Willow rushed out and grabbed me midway. She asked, "Weren't you supposed to bring me milk tea? I waited so long. Where did you go?" I yanked myself free impatiently. "Sorry, I've got something to do now." She protested, "You're going to look for Anna again? George, remember you only mistook her at first. If it weren't for me, someone like her wouldn't even have the right to talk to you." "Willow," I snapped, staring coldly. "Maybe at first I mistook her for you, but the one I've been spending time with is Anna, not you. I can tell them apart." Willow frowned. "What do you mean?" I didn't have time for her. I ran toward the equipment room like the wind. The equipment room is beneath the stands on the sports field. Once the door closes, it's pitch black inside. Luckily, when I arrived, Makoto and his gang were still there. I grabbed his collar and threatened viciously, "Give me the key, or I'll beat you until shit comes out. Do you believe me?" Makoto's family did have a little clout. He acted like a bully because his dad had ties to the principal. He flushed with anger and said, "Let go. George, who do you think you are? You gonna hit me?" I didn't indulge him. I struck hard and said with a grin, "If I'm going to hit you, I'll hit you. Why pick the day? Hand over the key." If even the scar-faced thug couldn't handle me, these chubby high school toughs stood no chance. "Anna." I pushed the door open and called out loudly. Through the strip of light that came with the opening, I saw Anna collapsed on the floor, her face streaked with tears. Her hair was disheveled. Her half-open eyes slowly lifted to look at me. Chapter 11. That was when I learned Anna had gone through this kind of thing more than once. At school, Makoto and his little gang always found excuses to bully her. They even spread filthy rumors about her. But maybe no one knew, the one who first spread those rumors wasn't Makoto. After some earnest and friendly conversation between Makoto and me, I discovered the truth. Anna might have been poor, but she was smart and beautiful. Too many people compared her with Sophia, the school beauty. Sophia's jealousy festered until she began fabricating nasty stories about Anna. She'd even embellished them in front of her number one simp, Makoto. One time, Anna rescued a child on her way to school and almost arrived late. The child's father, driving a Bentley, gave her a lift. When Sophia found out, the next day the whole school was buzzing with the rumor that Anna had a sugar daddy. Students whispered, "Wow, never thought Anna was that type. Looks so pure, but she clings to rich old men for money. See how she's always bundled up." I heard she had something done to please her sugar daddy. No wonder. How else would some rich guy look at her? She must have thrown herself at him. It escalated quickly. In the end, that same man personally came to school with traffic camera footage to clear Anna's name. But the school's punishment of the bullies was half-hearted. They didn't hold Sophia accountable at all, not even publicly. This time, though, I stormed into the principal's office with Anna in tow. Brother Wang. Anna called me for the first time, tugging at my sleeve. Don't make trouble for yourself. I ignored her and pulled her along. Luckily, I'd hired someone to record my friendly chat with Makoto. His own words left no room for denial. I caused a big enough scene that the matter couldn't just be swept aside. If they refused to deal with it, I'd upload the video to Weibo. When I finally walked out of the principal's office with Anna, I felt completely refreshed. Turning back, I realized Anna had been staring at me all along, her eyes brimming with admiration. I straightened my back, coughed a few times, and said, "Don't forget, you're writing my self-criticism." The video had captured me beating him up, arrogant as hell. But since it was to save someone, I'd get some punishment but nothing too heavy. Anna smiled softly. Okay. Chapter 12. That day, Willow had been watching when I saved Anna, but afterward, she said nothing. In the following days, whenever she looked for me, it was as if nothing had happened. I felt a little uneasy and thought of finding a chance to clear the air. Just then, a friend from abroad suddenly sent me a video. "George, hey, this Willow she's talking about, isn't that your fiancée?" I opened it. It was filmed in a foreign nightclub, noisy and chaotic. The woman's voice was loud and clear. "She makes me so mad. Willow asked me to pretend to be Anna, just so she could shake off her country bumpkin fiancé. But then, out of nowhere, she actually fell for that fiancé she's never even met. And now she's even forcing me to go abroad so she can be with him." So that was it. Everything finally made sense. Strangely, my first reaction to the video wasn't sadness, it was relief. I thought, I'm glad that by mistake, the first person I met was Anna. I turned off my phone and looked sideways at her. The afternoon sunlight poured through the windows, giving her profile a glowing halo. She asked, "What is it?" She put down her pen and tilted her head toward me, serious about even the smallest things. I studied her closely. She looked prettier with a little more weight on her. She really was thriving under my care. I said, "My dad's come to City C, as I hoped." I caught that flicker of hurt on Anna's face, but the truth was, my dad had come to annul the engagement. Chapter 13. The two families hadn't had much contact in recent years, but this childhood betrothal had lingered for so many years that quite a few people knew about it. For the sake of both sentiment and propriety, a clean break had to be made. Since the parents of both families disliked each other anyway, the annulment went through quickly. By the time Willow found out, the engagement was already dissolved. I heard that on that day, Willow happened to return home and ran into my dad just as he was leaving the Liu house. For the first time, the proud and flamboyant Willow lowered herself to plead. She said, "Uncle, could you give us a little more time?" I don't know how my dad replied, but when I saw him afterward, he had his hands behind his back, muttering angrily, "What nonsense." She looks down on my son. I look down on her daughter. All that pretentious, melodramatic posturing. Sometimes I wonder if I'm even talking to a human being. Later, Willow came to me. She sneered, "You like Anna. She doesn't measure up to me in any way. Private jets don't have rearview mirrors. Food is specially airlifted. Banquets leave you hungry. And evening gowns are worn only once. Does Anna know any of that? With someone like her, you'll never have spiritual resonance. We are the true match. Anna doesn't belong in our world." When she said this, it wasn't in the tone of a challenge, she was simply stating it as fact. I chuckled and said, "I thought you'd come to apologize." Only then did Willow press her lips together and mutter, "That was a misunderstanding. I didn't mean it." I understood then, this girl was probably born incapable of admitting fault. Or maybe, to her, admitting fault was unnecessary. My forgiveness didn't matter. I patted imaginary dust off my shoulder and said, "Sure, your family's rich, very rich. But what does that mean to me? I have money too. I'm not lacking. I'm not about to marry someone just because we match on paper. Like I'm bringing home an ancestor to worship. To be realistic, just judging from your habit of bowing to the powerful and trampling the weak, if one day I lost my money, you'd run immediately." But with Anna, no matter what life throws at us, I believe we could still live well. People don't fall in love because they belong to the same world. They fall in love because they want to create the same world together. I like Anna. Whether or not she knows all those trivial things you're so proud of, I like her anyway. Then I said, "Willow, I'm not even angry at your deception, truly, because I never cared. You fooled me, but I didn't lose anything. In fact, you've probably done this kind of toying more than once. This kind of character will follow you all your life. For that, I honestly pity you." After that, Willow stopped pestering me. If we crossed paths at school, she pretended not to know me and walked past. Much later, I heard she dated a man who matched her in family background, only to be caught tangled up with her gym trainer. Afterward, she was sent abroad by the Liu family, and her whereabouts became unknown. Chapter 14. The year the college entrance exams ended, Anna was admitted to C University, while I managed to slip into a 985 school in the same city. My dad was so delighted he threw a banquet of 400 tables overnight. It was also then that I learned Anna had once thought about dropping out, just a few days before I had arrived. After finishing undergrad, Anna went on to pursue her master's degree. Over the years, her family's life improved a lot, and her younger brother was in middle school. The only regret was that, during her sophomore year, Anna's mother passed away. As for me, knowing full well I wasn't cut out for academics, I gradually began to take over old Wang's business after graduation. While Anna was in graduate school, I expanded our operations to Beijing. During that time, after wrapping up work each day, I would drive to her campus to pick her up. The moment I parked, I'd see Anna standing neatly at the gate with her backpack, clean and fresh as always. She was even more beautiful than in high school. Her figure better too, but as long as she stood outside the school gates, she looked like nothing more than a pure and innocent college girl. Still, in private, I enjoyed seeing her in all kinds of outfits, living out different stories with her. Anna was tender and devoted, kneeling at my feet with flushed eyes, softly calling me master. I'm a straightforward man. I'm wealthy and successful, so of course I live as I please. Keeping a woman, to me, meant spoiling her as much as I could. I even planned it all out. If Anna wanted to be a doctor, I'd build her a hospital. If she wanted to be an astronomer, I'd buy her the stars. In the end, Anna became a physicist, so I invested heavily in founding her a research institute. As she matured into adulthood, Anna became even more captivating. The once slightly frail girl shed her innocence. Her delicate, beautiful features now paired with long legs, a slender waist, and graceful curves. I especially loved her in a JK uniform, the skirt swaying at her ankles, utterly mesmerizing. Who could have imagined that the cool, restrained Professor Anna was, in private, brimming with boundless passion? Sometimes when my back hurt and I tried to make excuses to avoid her, she thought she had lost her charm, that I was no longer interested. Brother, Anna rarely cried before, but with me, she often had reddened eyes in bed, her voice trembling. I bought a new outfit. Do you want me to try it on? And me, I was hopeless against her allure. The moment she took off her glasses, I forgot everything else. After our marriage, my business grew larger and larger. The company I inherited from old Wang went public under my lead. That same year, Anna won the highest international award in theoretical physics. When the interview video was released, everyone was stunned, amazed not only by her brilliance but by her youth and beauty. Those who knew her couldn't understand how Anna, who spent years running between research institutes and remote places, had the energy to achieve such greatness. But I knew the truth. They couldn't understand because they'd never seen the Anna of high school. In the final part of the interview, the reporter asked Anna, "You've won this award. Who is the person you most want to thank?" On the big screen, Anna's serene, gentle face appeared. She spoke softly, each word distinct. "My husband." Her gaze seemed to pierce the screen. Reaching straight for me, she said, "He was the hero of my youth, like a beam of light, long and radiant, sweeping away every shadow in her life." Extra Chapter 1. A sticky, suffocating summer afternoon. Into Anna's ears drifted a refreshing voice. "Hello everyone, my name is George." She lifted her head, paused, then bent back over her exercises. She had to finish her daily workload of problems during breaks so she could still work her part-time job at night. Suddenly, a blue school bag swung past her desk. A steamed bun rolled onto the ground, gathering dust, staining his spotless shoes. She didn't turn back, just tightened her grip on her pen. She braced herself, expecting him to frown, to call her dirty, just like the others in class. They were friendly, they chatted, sometimes even praised her, but sooner or later, the word dirty slipped out, followed by flustered apologies. Anna had rehearsed the lines "sorry" and "it's okay" so many times. She was about to speak when a bright, confident face leaned close, startling her. He said, "Sorry, I dropped your food." Anna steadied herself, eyes fixed on the questions in front of her. "It's okay," she said. Her new desk mate talked a lot, and his questions were strange. Sometimes she answered, sometimes she didn't know how, until one day, he scratched his head and asked, "You really don't remember me? I'm your fiancée." Even though she knew she was unworthy of such a word, Anna still looked at his serious expression and thought it over carefully. When she shook her head, George laughed in exaggerated relief. "No worries, Anna. From now on, we'll be good friends. No one ever wants to be my real friend." Anna thought. They borrowed her notes, copied her homework, said thanks, but never played with her. Yet this boy seemed different. He acted as if he had taken her under his wing. He always followed her, always found odd excuses to give her the good things he had. He frowned once and said, "Cake, too sweet for me. Do you want it?" Another time he sighed. "Ugh, Auntie made salty rice dumplings again. I don't like savory ones. Anna, can you help me out? Otherwise I'll waste food." George was popular. Everyone loved talking to him. but he would always turn back to pull her into the conversation. Anna often felt it was all unreal, like a dream that could vanish any second. So she reminded herself, don't get used to it. One day he'll get bored. After all, she was dull, plain, and boring. As time passed, she overheard whispers. George is just fooling around with her. A rich young master like him won't take Anna seriously. Exactly. How could he ever really like her? Anna bit her lip. A strange thought flashed through her mind, not anger, not resentment. Instead, she wondered, what can I do to make George enjoy playing with me more? She deliberately brought out the kitten she had rescued. As expected, his eyes lit up. Anna, you're so kind. You've taken such good care of her. Am I kind? Anna wasn't sure. She only thought, compared to the kitten abandoned in the rain under the bridge. She still had her mom, her brother. She was luckier, so she wanted to help it. She cuddled the kitten, stroking its ears. Maybe I'm George's kitten too, she thought. A master doesn't abandon his kitten. When the truth came out, that George had been misled into mistaking her for someone else, Anna feared he would be disappointed. Luckily, the jokes were aimed only at her. George and Willow stood side by side, matching from beginning to end. Anna longed to say, Willow isn't worthy. Mud on the ground can never compare to the moon in the sky. And yet, she cursed herself for being lucky. It was enough to make others jealous. She thought Willow held the winning hand. But Willow seemed anxious, restless. Looking down on her, Willow said loftily, Anna, his kindness to you was an accident. Do you really think you can become a phoenix just by perching on a branch? Don't dream. Let me tell you, private jets don't have rearview mirrors. Food is airlifted. Banquets never fill you up. And gowns are worn only once. Do you even know any of that? Anna was silent. Then Willow pressed further. Stay away from him. I'm warning you one last time. But Anna glimpsed the insecurity in her eyes. She gave a cold laugh. Your warning is useless. Whoever George chooses, only they have the right to shout here. George doesn't want Willow. Even if she offered to be his dog, he still wouldn't take her. Truly pathetic. How pitiful. Extra Chapter 2. Many people placed bets on when George would abandon her. They spoke with such certainty. With George's background, it was only a matter of time before he obeyed his family and married someone of equal status. But time passed quickly, so quickly that those same voices fell silent. They went through high school together, then graduated from university. At first, Anna thought George deserved the very best, so she was unworthy of him. But later, she began to believe, maybe she could become the best. Through countless seasons, she walked forward hand in hand with him. From a girl weighed down by insecurity and sensitivity, to someone who could hold her head high. George once told her, don't listen to their nonsense about social status. I have more than enough money. The empire I've built can support us for generations of comfort and pleasure. There are countless wealthy heiresses out there, but your worth, it's one of a kind. Throughout history, the number of physicists who became famous and published great works is just a handful. By then, George was already a regular figure in financial media, impatient whenever someone brought up Anna's poor past. Anna herself no longer cared. Her work would remain hidden until the day she received her award, but that was still years away. They were both very busy. Sometimes, half a month passed without seeing each other, but she missed him. Like in her school days, she believed that if she squeezed her schedule hard enough, she could always make time. So she appeared more diligent than anyone else, to the point that her colleagues in the research institute grew resentful, filing complaints that she was creating toxic competition. Her supervisor called her in for a talk, all but saying, you're smarter than others, leave them some room to breathe. Anna answered earnestly, I just want to go home to see my husband. The day she went back, George returned from a business trip. He pushed the door open and found Anna standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, her hair curled like seaweed, a vintage red dress falling gracefully, the hem drifting down to reveal slender ankles. Sunlight on the fabric made her skin look even paler. George stood behind her, his broad frame sheltering her. Below the window, pedestrians flowed like a silent, colorful river painting. Anna suddenly rose on her toes and whispered something into George's ear. His ears flushed bright as a boiled shrimp. He kissed her and murmured, all right. They'd bought a villa on the mountainside with an artificial hot spring built into it. That spring had been for Anna's health, and it soon became their place of abandon. Afterward, she was dizzy with pleasure. George lifted the limp woman and gently laid her down on the bed. Anna found a comfortable position and curled into his arms. As dawn neared, Anna woke. She lay beside him, nestling, brushing his brow and stroking his face, never seeming to have enough of him. Some people were vicious, always scheming to pawn flashy women off on her husband, one minute a celebrity, the next the heiress of some conglomerate. George always said he was married. Still, people laughed. Married? For someone like you, keeping a few women on the side is only natural. Sometimes she wanted nothing more than to tuck herself into George's pocket. If any woman came near him, she would tear them apart. He would always hold her close, rubbed the corners of her reddened eyes with his thumb, smiling gently. What are you thinking? Those people aren't even worthy to hold your shoes. George would touch her face, look from left to right, and say, where are they as pretty as you? Later they set up a charity foundation. She saved a kitten, did good deeds, and was rewarded by fate. She kept doing good, hoping heaven would favor her husband with a long, healthy life. But time flew too quickly. Their children grew from babbling toddlers into adults with careers of their own. In their youngest years they had a son and a daughter. The daughter pursued aerospace and, like her mother, became a national top talent. The son inherited his father's business and ran it brilliantly. Later, their grandchildren began choosing majors. Children gathered about, chattering and lively. Anna lay on a hospital bed and looked at George. Life had passed so quickly. One blink and George's hair had silvered, though he still looked, in memory, like the 16-year-old boy. She touched the wet line at the corner of his eye and spoke her last line. Husband, next life, could we meet a little earlier? He held her hand in his palm and whispered, then remember to wait for me. Extra Chapter 3. In the third year after Anna's passing, the publishing house planned a fourth reprint of one of her books. After much effort, they invited her husband, George, to write the foreword. He had spent his life in business and knew little of such things. They told him he only needed to speak of Mrs. Anna herself. The standing lamp in the study cast its light over his white hair. George picked up the pen, set it down, picked it up again, and set it down once more. How could he tell the world about his Anna? How could he speak of her girlhood, her natural brilliance matched by tireless effort? Seasons changed, cold and heat, blossoms and falling leaves, and apart from loving him, her entire life belonged to physics. Countless nights, under a lamp burning deep into the night, her desk strewn with papers, every margin filled with meticulous notes. George understood, physics was not just her research, it was the annotation of her life. When he finally reached the last line, he wrote, with this foreword, I honor Mrs. Anna's devotion, and all those who pursue the light. 2 years later, on an autumn day, Mr. George passed away in his sleep. In accordance with his will, the children buried him beside his wife in a cemetery on the outskirts of the city. Their names were carved side by side on the stone. From then on, through all the years to come, there would be no more long partings between them.